Hello, everyone. It's Steve with Aptera Owners Club again. All right, we're continuing on with this commentary on the investor webinar that was from early June. And so here's the next part. We're about 20 minutes into this thing. And here's a slide talking about the industry-leading suppliers and partners that Aptera is going with. So they talk about Monroe and Associates. Obviously, that has been a very important partnership from them from the very beginning. And they are kind of process engineers and helping them design the car and the assembly line to make it easy to assemble. And I think this partnership has paid dividends for them, both in name recognition and hopefully in the manufacturing of the vehicle and how they design the vehicle to be very manufacturable. Obviously Sandy Monroe is very well known because he has this YouTube channel that a lot of people watch, but also he's a longtime fixture in Detroit and has helped several big name traditional auto manufacturers like Ford, GM, Range Rover, BMW, and probably several others. And then they talk about Maxion. Maxion is a Singapore-based company which was spun off from SunPower. They obviously were involved with Lightyear, and they're just they're a major manufacturer of solar cells. So that's very well known. CTNS, this is this small Korean startup company that they are going to be the battery module manufacturer. They are basically designing the battery module manufacturing line and setting that up. And then Aptera is gonna at some point relatively soon bring that over to the US and basically take that over. CTNS is a new company and they really don't have a track record of working with any big brands. So CTNS is sort of kind of in the same place Aptera is. Their startup. I think that because they have some backing from the Korean government and some grants, they are in a more and they're producing battery packs, which is kind of a commodity thing. In some ways, they're in a more stable position in Aptera because they're in a stable market. But in some ways, they're in a less stable position because it is a crowded market with established players. So I think hopefully this will be a fruitful collaboration for the two of them. And then obviously we know about CPC, which probably is, between them and Monroe, I don't know what the more important partnership has been for Aptera, but this has obviously completely changed the vehicle in many ways. It made it much more manufacturable at high volume and probably will make the fit and finish better than having to make each body with jigs in-house. CPC has a long track record of that. Okay.
But it's really amazing to go to Italy and see some of the super sophisticated supercar products that they work on, and to note that we're getting some of that engineering talent in Aptera's design. Really, some Italian heritage in the Aptera body structure. So should feel good that we're in league with some of the world's greatest supercars. We've done an amazing job with our supply chain, getting parts sourced for the vehicle. Jordan has done an amazing job, closing out a lot of these, finding companies that can make them. We are still refining a lot of this, over time. We'll even though we've maybe chosen a supplier for one particular part, as we get closer to production and excitement gets more around Aptera, we will have suppliers call us and say, hey, you're putting this part on the Aptera. We build a very similar part. I bet we could build it cheaper for you. Can we quote it? And we'll get that quote. And if it's significantly lower and it has better quality, then yeah, we'll choose that supplier to put parts on our floor. As we get closer and closer to start of production, that list of potential will close. But it's amazing to see that we're 97% sourced now. We have 97% of the parts we need sourced. We know exactly where we're going to get it. We can go get it. It's just an effort now of maybe finding more cost-efficient suppliers for some of these as we get closer to start of production. But closures complete, Binkin exteriors complete, lighting, battery, solar complete. Interiors, we have some parts that the interior design was kind of lagging from the rest of the design. So there's still some parts. I think some of the center console stuff we haven't fully sourced out. Thermal, some of the thermal components were lagging as well. So we're still sourcing a couple of those things, and electromechanical devices in the EE team on the wiring harness still have a little bit of work to do.
Okay. So I remember when I talked to Chris Anthony a while ago, they are trying to follow kind of Tesla's model of building cars where they can change the vehicle kind of as they go. Detroit and the big auto manufacturers, they make a car, and they're going to make that car the exact same car for 3 years, and then they have a cycle every so often, and they refresh the car and they get all new parts. But they are planning to constantly kind of like, if it makes sense to change the car or change suppliers, they're going to do that as it allows, and keep their production line somewhat more nimble. So that's kind of a different way of dealing with it. Um, Interior not being done, that's a little surprising. I guess he was saying design was lagging. So I don't know. That seems like that would be one of the earlier things that would be done. And then thermal, I think their thermal management, they changed. They got rid of the belly cooling, and realized that that was kind of expensive to tool out to build that belly radiator. So they're going more conventional, and so that's probably why they're having to like kind of slightly redesign that thing, and that's why it's lagging a little bit. And the electromechanical, I don't know what really indication is. I'm surprised that the wiring harness is lagging, because they got Yazaki on board a while ago, like a long time ago, 2 years ago, I think. So maybe there's some changes that are necessitating some changes in the wiring harness. But anyway, they are saying that they are mostly done on that. And so that's kind of good. And again, you see they're talking about their key partners. In this one, they talk about Co-Stamp Group instead of Monroe. And again, there is the conspicuous absence of Alafe on both of these previous slides. And I think that is not an oversight. That is definitely, that signifies something, and we just don't know what that is yet, and we're gonna have to wait and find out what that is. Okay, they are talking about their PI build process next. We're jumping ahead a little bit because I kind of want to wrap up this commentary. So most major systems on order, and they are getting a first PI built by late August. I mean, late July, early August. Now, what I'm not sure about is if that is going to be the drivable PI. Is the first PI the drivable PI? I really hope so, because they need a drivable PI soon, and they need the vehicle that looks like the vehicle that people are going to get completely built out. They need that one soon so they can show it off and have people say, hey, like, this is it. This is the vehicle that we're getting. And they need to kind of have that built, driving around, testing, and showing it to people. So I don't know if this is the drivable. If it is, I'm definitely heading down there when it's built, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Let's see here. And then lastly, in this part, I just want to talk about, this is a very important slide to kind of keep in mind, that this is their plan. So their plan is this year they have their engineering design freeze. They're going to do their prototype builds and validation testing, and they are hoping for start of production sort of like Q2 2025, and then they are hoping to have 5,000 units delivered by the end of 25. That, I think, is pretty optimistic. I would be impressed, honestly, if their first delivery vehicle was before the end of 2025, because they're gonna build prototypes here. The first one's gonna be built in late July, early August. That's the first one. they're planning on building 10 to 16 of these things. And then after they build them, they have to validate and do a bunch of testing. Like, how long does that take? I'm not sure. I mean, they've been doing the suspension testing on beta for like a year or more. And I'm sure this testing is going to go faster. But do we really think it's realistic that they are going to build 10 to 16 PIs before the end of this year? I don't think so. That would be very impressive. And then I think that's just getting them built. Then they have to validate and test them. How long is that going to take? That's going to take months, I would think. And so if that takes another 4 or 5 months, we're looking at like halfway through 2025 before validation and testing is done. Then I think they have to spool up their manufacturing plant and start that. And so my guess is, and I think my guess is going to be optimistic. My guess is that they're going to start their first production vehicle for delivery like towards the end of 2025, and that's if things go smoothly. We don't even know when the funding for production is going to come in. I mean, U.S. Capital Group is going to do it, but are they going to have it in in the middle of 2024? Are we going to see it in the next 2 months? Is it going to be the end of 2024, early 2025? We don't know that so not only the engineering and the validation, but the finance portion of it is a little up in the air as well. So this slide, I think, is somewhat optimistic and probably, in my opinion, unrealistically optimistic. But they think that, and they obviously have way more information than I do, but also I think they have way more optimism than I do. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think that this production timeline is realistic? Is there going to be 5,000 units delivered by the end of Q4 or even at the end of Q1 2026? I'm going to say no. And if anyone wants to put a wager on it, I'm happy to take them up on it. I mean, a friendly wager, not a lot of money, obviously. We should take bets, actually. We should have a pool and guess on when the first production vehicle gets delivered. I'm gonna say November 2025. That's my guess. Let me know what you guys guess in the comments below. All right, thanks for watching, guys. We'll wrap this up in 1 or 2 more videos.